Okay guys, so this week we're going to be using this Weird Chemistry About Kitchen Creations book to kind of read through, and the skills we're going to be working on are kind of two different skills. We're going to be working on some predicting, so predicting your outcomes and seeing how that plays into reading, and we're going to be working on some sequencing stuff with this. Okay, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, first thing I want you to do is I want you to take an index card, take one and pass it around. Caleb, if you get any extra, just put it back. And I'm going to show you a quick little video, but the video is entitled Soap Souffle. Is going to be the title of our video. Okay, Soap Souffle. So just by that name and by the title of your book, I want you to use those two clues and make a prediction about what you think this movie might be about, this little clip. Write it down on your note card. Using that title and the title that you know of our clip, think about what you might think might happen in this short little clip. So I want you to just kind of share. So Mia and Alana, because y'all kind of share with each other, and Tina and Kayla, kind of share your predictions with each other.
Well, I would guess that people will put soap. If it's like a pot or the dish that you might put more soap dishes in it, and then there's like cold water in it. So soap, water, white rice up until it seems to come out.
Okay.
I think how chemistry in soap chemistry stuff.
I heard some good ones. I heard like food, soap. What gave you the food idea?
It was like I was souffle.
Souffle
Usually are in a dish and it rise up. So
okay, that's how some people.
Soap, water rising up.
Yeah, some people thought it was going to be something about making soap because of the soap, and we know it has to do with chemistry. Okay, I want you to watch it. I want you to see if your predictions based on those two context clues could be right.
We're learning how ivory soap is different than any other kind of soap that you can find in the grocery store. When you take ivory soap and you put it in water, you're going to see that ivory soap floats. And when you put another kind of soap in water, it floats to the bottom. And the reason for that is because it was an accident when they were making ivory soap. Somebody left this mixer on, and it mixed the soap way more than it was supposed to. When they came back, it got really big, and then it floated. But they learned that people liked soap that floats, so they kept making it. So when you cut ivory soap, you don't really see how it has bubbles in it. But if you break it, you can see how it's really rough, and it's rough because of all the bubbles that are inside it. So in addition to floating the soap, and we'll have some other kinds of soap that you can float as well. I will help you with this part. We're going to cut off a little bit of soap like this, and then we're going to put it in the microwave. And the reason we're going to do this is, just like a marshmallow has trapped air inside it, ivory soap has trapped air bubbles inside it. So when you put this on, do it for just about 30 seconds. And now if you come down and kind of look up, just use the camera, look in there. You guys are going to see the soap actually looking like it's growing. Now, this is a little bit like popcorn. You don't want to do it more. So, actually, it looks like about 15 seconds. Good. This soap is still good to use, but you don't want to touch it right now because it's hot. So you're gonna.
Okay, so looking at your prediction, were you a little on or a little off?
A little on.
little off?
I thought that they were actually like something if you were like cleaning the dishes, you had to pour soap in the dish to apply soap.
Okay. How do predictions help us with reading?
It helps us when
Mia?
It helps us, the predictions help us by kind of putting what we think might happen and what will happen together to see what will actually happen and help us predict more right about the future.
Okay, so kind of can you use some different things to help us, Mackenzie?
It if you make predictions and then you read them out loud, it's kind of like seeing all your different opinions. And then when you read the book, you see if all your opinions are right. If your opinions are right, then you compromise them together to make one whole opinion. And you read the story and you're like, we made a good opinion that works.
Are predictions always right?
No.
No, and it's okay, right? But we have to take the clues that we're given. Okay, this book that we're going to focus on this week, and in this section we're going to start with, you're going to see 2 vocabulary words. You're going to see concentrated and diluted. Concentrated and diluted. Can anybody think of a time they've heard these words or what these words might mean? Okay, Tina, what do you think? Which one? Concentrated?
Concentrated is like, if you have like orange juice, it's like concentrated from like oranges.
Okay, so what does that word mean? You're right on your
I don't know
example.
what it means. I just know it's like about that. It's like the like substance. Like you know how oranges you have like the peel that has definition.
Okay, so you've seen it on the orange juice container, so you know the word somehow. Okay, Mia?
Kind of like what Tina said, I saw it on an orange juice container, like has concentrated. I do not know what that word means, but I think it's some kind of vitamin or something
Okay.
that will help you.
Okay, Mackenzie?
The leftover of, see if orange is like the leftover orange that's on something, like the leftover of something.
Okay. So it's a word we've seen, but we're not exactly sure what it means, right? Okay, has anybody ever seen the word diluted? Caleb, no. Mia, you have, Caleb? What do you think?
it before.
I've said it before.
Yeah, you did.
You think of what it
But I don't know what it means, but I think it kind of means not like a positive, but kind of like a negative. Because when I hear diluted, it kind of sounds almost like destroyed.
Okay, I do, because sometimes we talk about, does that word sound like a good word or a bad word? We're trying to figure out the word, is it a positive or negative? You are right. That kind of does have like a negative feel to the word, diluted. So we kind of think it might have something along those negative type lines.
It gives me like a negative vibe.
Okay.
It might mean like somebody that like is like if you're doing like an activity and somebody's taken away, like you might say they're diluted from the activity.
Okay. If I'm making something, and our book is going to give you an example, it's going to go through these 2 words, okay? So while we're reading this, if I'm making something, because we're talking about in the kitchen, right? So we're kind of talking about making stuff. There's going to be a word concentrated and a word diluted. Let me give you a hint. They have to do with each other, okay, in a way. So as we're reading this, it's going to be very explicit in telling you the definition and stuff, so I don't need to go over that right now, but I want you to see if you can find the connection between these 2 words as we're reading it, okay? And we'll come back to it. So let's go ahead and open up page 13. We're going to read the section today called Mixing Chemicals Together. And as we're reading this, we've already kind of worked on some predictions and stuff, and as we go, there's going to be some we're going to work on prediction with. But the other skill that I mentioned to you we're going to work with is sequential, sequence, keeping things in order. What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say kitchen and sequencing? What comes to your mind, Alana?
Like the order of baking cake.
The order of baking cakes, the order of recipes usually, right? That's one of the first things you think about in the kitchen especially.
The order of getting your tools together to make the cake.
You do, you have to have an order to that.
And like the order you do to like make homemade lemonade.
Okay.
Like you squeeze the lemon and then you put it in the water.
Right, because there's that step by step by step by step process.
I'm thinking about instructions. Like at our house, we don't like make homemade. We just use like the powder mix. Like we just like put the powder mix in it, and you fill it up to the 2-part line.
Okay.
That's what we do. And like we like have to mix it until you can hear that all the powder
granules.
is gone. But it's not really gone. But you can't hear it. When
Okay.
you mix it.
That's what we're going to work on. So this is going to be kind of a step by step. We're going to go back and we're going to look at it, and then we're going to talk about how does that help us with our reading. What could be a purpose of that? So let's look. Let's look at mixing chemicals together. Okay. We're going to set the stage and get it going. What I'm listening for today in your reading, especially your fluency, is I want to hear good 4th grade fluency. I want you to hear you reading correctly, pausing when you got punctuation. It needs to be pausing. If there happens to be something with expression, I'm listening for that expression. You can't get through a word, use your phonemic awareness. Try to sound it out. Think of what it might look like, okay? Let's go ahead. We'll just start with Mackenzie and we'll just work around, okay? Go ahead, Mackenzie. Start us out.
When you make an instant pink lemonade, you add a scoop of powder to a glass of water and stir. It may seem like the powder has disappeared, but you can tell that it is still in the glass because the water is now pink and has a sweet taste. You made a mixture of the pink powder and the water. Chemists use mixtures all the time.
So right there, Mackenzie, what do you think the word mixture means?
Of pink lemonade, grains, water, and you mix it together. So you have two things that you mix together and make something that is the same things but in a different form.
Okay, so it's taking multiple things and combining them, mixing them together to make something different. Okay, Alana, start us out.
When you add too much powder to your lemonade mixture, the lemonade is very strong and tastes too sweet. It is more concentrated than you would like it to be. The concentration of a mixture refers to how much of a particular ingredient it contains. If you add too much water to the usual recipe, the resulting lemonade is weaker or more diluted than it should be. It will probably taste too bland to you.
Okay, so there's 2 words that we were focusing on here in our word splash, our vocabulary kind of preview. Concentrated and diluted. Concentrated, it says it is more concentrated than you would like it to be. So that's talking about if you add more lemonade than the water, or that lemonade powder mix. If you're diluting it, you're putting way too much water in it. So can anybody think of what a good definition of these 2 words might be? Amia?
It might be that diluted means too much of not the thing, and concentrated would be too much of the thing.
Okay, I'm kind of following you. I like where you're going.
For when I think of concentrate, I think of you're putting too much into something. Like my mom says, sometimes you're doing too much at one time. Like you're trying to do so much of one thing,
Okay.
but you can do it separately. That's why I think of concentrate. And then when I think diluted, you're not doing enough. You're doing half the work you should be.
Okay. Have you ever seen Mom like use bleach on something?
Yes.
Whether it's laundry or to mop the floors, okay? Does she put a lot of bleach in the water or a little bleach usually?
Like the cup.
Right, but not
Yes.
as much as
Yes.
like the water that's in the washing machine or something.
Yeah.
Because bleach is really concentrated, it's really strong, it's really potent, okay? But when we put it in that much water, we're gonna end up diluting it, we're weakening it a little bit. So if we took a gallon, like picture a gallon of milk, if we took a gallon of bleach and added a teaspoon of water, it wouldn't dilute it much, would it? It would still be really concentrated, really strong. It would probably smell really,
I wouldn't drink it.
really, no, we would never drink bleach with water. But if we did the opposite, we added just a little bit of bleach to the water, we're going to dilute it. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, I told you there was a connection between those 2 words. Concentrated and diluted. Anybody see a connection coming up?
Yeah. Wait, yes.
What?
That there's one ingredient that's concentrated, and when you add too much of another ingredient, it gets diluted.
Okay, I want you to think, you're on the right track, and I want you to think of an actual, like grammar type connection. Think of grammar type.
Well, they both have to do with too much of something,
Okay, this is too much, and this is what?
too little. So they both have to do with
You can think of size.
Okay.
It's like
What are they? This is too
opposites.
much. Oh, what's the 4th grade word for opposite?
Antonyms.
Antonyms. So these words are directly antonyms to each other. Okay. Amia, chemical reactions.
Okay. Sometimes when you mix chemicals together, you get more than a mixture. You get a brand new chemical. For example, when you add vinegar to baking soda, bubbles of a gas start to form. The gas is carbon dioxide. When chemicals change to form new chemicals, a chemical reaction is taking place.
Good job. Go ahead. Don't worry about the bottom yet. We'll come back to it. Caleb, can you read useful chemical reactions?
Yeah. There are many chemical reactions that are useful to people every day. For example, a chemical reaction in cake batter uses gases to be released, giving a baked cake a spongy texture.
Okay. So even though we're in elementary school, we don't really deal with that much chemistry, do we?
No.
We may have done a few little science labs or something along the way. But think about something in your real life in the kitchen. Can you and this is used as a cake, for example. Can you think of when you or mom or grandma or aunt or dad or whatever had baked something or done something in the kitchen where you mix things together and something totally changes?
Well, I was mix cereal and milk, and then we got to mom. It's one of those things all solid.
It does. It gets soggy, and that's a reaction, right? And that's probably not a useful reaction, is it? Because you don't want to drink that. Amia?
When I use some soap in the water, at first it turns like the soap is just in the water. But a few minutes later, when I scrub with the soap and water, it turns all bubbly and foamy.
Okay.
It's from cake.
So, like, when you, I take chemicals as like things that we can't see most of the time, like
Okay.
friction. Even though you can't see it, you use friction to walk and run and do stuff.
Okay.
If you cook toast and then you put jelly on it, and if you leave it out for way too long, the jelly starts like soak into the toast, and you can't really see the jelly, and it gets all soggy and crusty.
Okay. Milana?
Whenever my mom makes like dessert, whenever she leaves it in the fridge too long, it becomes like really spongy and it's like sweet.
That's true. Think about Jell-O. Don't when we first start making Jell-O, isn't it liquidy?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we look at the refrigerator, and what do you think is going on? Yeah,
It's like pulling together.
Yeah,
What about
it's
the
getting
icing on a cupcake when you eat one cupcake and leave the other in the refrigerator for the night?
It gets
The
all hard.
icing turns kind of soggy.
Or if you
That's
leave
true.
it out, it gets hard.
Tina mentioned an unwanted, like a not chemical reaction we probably don't want, spoiled milk. So it's kind of funny. So I'm going to let you read because you'll see why it's humorous. Read about unwanted reactions.
Some chemical reactions are not useful. For example, a chemical reaction between iron particles and oxygen in the air causes some metal to rust.
Okay, read the caption for me to the
A
illustration.
chemical reaction also causes milk to spill.
So she definitely, that's not a useful reaction, is it? We don't want that. Okay, let's flip over, and Tina, if you'll finish us out on that section.
The reaction that causes rust is called
Oxidation, good.
oxidation. Rusty metal is often weak and it can cause damage to buildings, cars, and boats. To prevent rusting, you can paint metal objects so that it's protected from the air. In this chapter, you learn that concentration of a chemical is determined by how much of a particular ingredient it contains. A chemical reaction takes place when other chemicals change to form new materials. Some of these reactions are useful to us and others are undesirable.
Okay, so this was about chemicals coming together and giving us different reactions. What two types of reactions might we have when we're dealing with chemicals? Wanted and unwanted, useful and useless. Okay, so we've got two different reactions. What was a mixture? How do we get a mixture? Kayla?
You add one ingredient to another ingredient, and if you add too much, it gets diluted. If you don't, if you add just right, then it's perfect.
Right. Okay, whatever our words. Yes,
Wait, I
concentrate.
have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
If concentrated is a word, then what is concentration? Because it says on an orange juice box, not concentrated,
But it
it
means
says hash concentration.
okay.
Concentrate.
It's kind of the same because those words do have a double meaning in life, doesn't it? Can you think of another word that we like? Another time we might use the word concentrated or concentration?
It's like it's like you're doing something like you're concentrating on a test, or you concentrated on a test.
Good. So this is one of those words that have those two meanings, and we have to use it within the context that we're in, like a homophone type thing. So this one, when it's talking about concentrated and concentration, like juice used in concentration, is talking in a strong amount. But when we're using other words, we're talking about like academics, or we're concentrating on the task at hand, something like that, or the game concentration. Okay, so one of the skills I told you we were working with was sequencing. And if you look in your book, if you'll flip back one page, maybe two pages, to the yellow activity, the how do you make loop? Block, loop. Okay, on the water, it's better known as oobleck. If you've ever read the Dr. Seuss book, this is kind of along that line. So I want you to take a second, and I want you to yourself to read the 5 bubbles. Okay, and I want you to pay attention. This is sequential order, and then we're going to have a little conversation about what is sequential order. That'll be my signal. So, there was a sequence or an order to that, wasn't there? Okay, who can talk to me about what that was? Mackenzie?
It's telling you step by step of how to make it. Remember, in the first bubble, it was talking about how many things, and like how you have to mix it, or how many teaspoons or tablespoons. And then the second one, it was saying how to mix it, and then the third, it's just telling you how to, and then the final one, it's really just telling you how to form it, and how to, if you want to form it, it tells you, I think, 2 examples of how you form it.
Okay.
And then, yeah, and that order is chronological, order.
Now, if I did that out of order, would it really give me that loop again? Probably not, because
you could do glue first and then borax, but you can't do like shape it, then glue it, then borax it, and mix it.
Right.
How are you supposed to shape it if you don't even have your...
Right, because there's a step-by-step order. Now, when it comes to reading, how does a step-by-step order help us in reading? And think about any type of content areas. Just don't think about reading in a guided reading group. Think about anything we do in school. How does a step-by-step help us to actually read?
Well, Well, you can't write or read the ending, then write the beginning, then the middle, because you go beginning, so you like set up the story in the middle, so you have like the plot and I forgot it, the word, like the climax, then you have the ending. You can't do climax, then the beginning, then ending. It's like, so someone did this, and then once upon a time, you can't do, because someone did this, you can't put the climax, then the once upon a time, then the ending.
Right, just like in our book that we were reading, if all of a sudden we found out that, I totally just forgot her name, the little girl that helped. I'm totally just drawing a blank.
Judy?
No, Luke.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Lisa.
Wait,
Jimmy, thank you. If we found out Jimmy died, we're not going to want to read the whole setup of the book or what made Jimmy die.
yeah, it's Jim.
Jim, yeah. We wouldn't want to read the whole setup of what made her die, right? So we actually had to read it, so it helps people to remember stuff and recall the stuff too.
Because if you're talking about Jim, it's about Luke. Then you mentioned Luke.
Mm-hmm.
And then but I thought it was about Jim, but the purpose is about Luke. It's again, you're all confused because you're not reading it from beginning, middle, end.
Amia?
Well, the last time Tina said something about the beginning, the middle, and the end, I liked that response, but that also has an introduction. Because what if you read another book, but you didn't read the first one? And then you're all confused, like, who is this person? What is this? What is that? We use the introduction kind of like adding another step to make sure that we know what's going on, or else the steps like the beginning, middle, and end doesn't even matter because we don't know what's happening.
So sequence can even play outside of that. It can play to just when you're going to the library and picking books out, you want to try to read them.
Yeah, this year I
Hold
was.
on. You got to remember to do it properly. So you want to read in sequence, in sequential order. Because if you read the last book of a 7-book series first, you kind of lose it. Okay, Alana?
That's
So if you use the first, second, and third order, it actually helps you a lot in baking because if you mix it all up, or if you put like if you don't do like precise like measuring and all that stuff, something can go wrong. Like if you put too much of milk or not enough eggs, or if you put it for too long or for a short time, or you don't use the right ingredients, then it can mess up. So that's why you need to use the first, second, and third order.
So it really is even a skill that we're learning now that goes into real life. So that's kind of important. Okay, Kayla? And then we'll do our next activity. I tell you what, when you remember, raise your hand, let me know because I want to hear it, okay? Okay, so we're going to go into our next activity. And as the week goes, we're going to get a little tougher in our sequential order activities. But right now, I've given each of you a sheet in front of you, okay? And it's kind of funny. It's called Fruit Shish Kebabs. But basically what you're going to do is you're going to read this activity on the front. If everybody will flip over to the back of your sheet, you're going to see that this is where your journey time starts and where you're going to start working on your task, okay? You're going to be writing in chronological order the list of the actions to prepare the fruit shish kebabs, because obviously there's going to be a order, chronology, a sequence. And then I want you to actually go a little farther. Do you think that you can apply sequence to planning your projects for school? So how could that help if we're starting a unit, think about our space unit, and we were doing that and I gave you some type of order or I told you something, how could you understand this word sequence help and go to that? Kind of like how Alana was talking about, it goes to real life. Well, now take this reading skill after you do this and now put it in real life. Like how can it apply to you in your real life? This is your scale. So give you a little bit of time. You can work with your shoulder partner if you need somebody, but I want to see you kind of work through this for a few minutes on your own. If you have a question though, I'm sitting right here.